Okay.
Let's make sure it goes live.
Okay.
You can't tell if it says it's live. There it is.
We live?
I think so. We are live.
Okay, cool.
So we should be good
Let's do
to
this.
start the week two predictions. Welcome in, everybody. So, as you know, week one, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened, a lot of upsets, but ultimately, the final standings, I took the W at 8-7-1, with 7-8-1, and then 6-9-1 being Josh and Zach's records. So, not a great week for any of us, but let's hope that the NFL kind of goes back to normal. Trophy goes to the winner each week. So, let's get into these predictions, though. First matchup is going to be Chiefs going into the Chargers for Thursday Night Football. Since that's the West, Zach, you open us up. What do you think?
I think for Chiefs, Chargers.
Yep.
I gotta give it to the Chargers. They played a more consistent game against the Raiders. I know the Chiefs blew out the Cardinals, but this will be the Chiefs' first real test. These Cardinals don't have that good of a defense. We had some pieces like Isaiah Simmons, but the Chargers faced a better unit offensively, and maybe offensively, but defensively they played a better unit and they held up pretty well. I'm gonna go Chargers here. How about you, Josh?
Well, for this matchup, I gotta go with KC here. I think that Mahomes is just on a different level this year. I'm finally giving him the respect he deserves because he looked great with those options, and especially with the defense. They held up against the Cardinals. That's my big takeaway too. So I think they're going to be doing the same thing on Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. So give me the Chiefs. Jack?
This one is close. Both had very good week ones, but I think for now, I'll give the slight edge to the Chargers. I know that Keenan Allen's going to probably miss this game, and it's a short week, but still, I trust Austin Eckler. Mike Williams hopefully has the good Mike Williams shows up, not the bad one. And overall, this is a tight matchup. But ultimately, I think that the Chargers defense is going to be able to get the job done, and I think they'll be able to contain Kansas City enough to get the win. All right. So next matchup is going to be Patriots at Steelers for week two. I guess since the Patriots are the East, this will go to me, I think. So I will be taking the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
Yep.
New England it wasn't good. It was very bad week one for them. They only had 7 points. Miami's offense pretty much stopped for a little bit, and they only put up 20, so New England couldn't really keep up at all. They just look really bad. The playmaking is not there for the most part with the team. And while the Steelers, they're going to be without T.J. Watt, and we'll see on Najee Harris. I think they just have Najee Harris going to eat the Patriots. That should be enough to get the job done, so I'm going to give the edge here to the 1-0 Steelers at home. What about you, Josh?
Well, I think that the Steelers are going to be winning here. The Patriots week one just looked lost against the Miami Dolphins. They couldn't seem to find an answer. With Matt Patricia calling plays on the offense, it didn't look good. Their defense wasn't holding up. Nothing was going right. The wheels just fell off the car, and now they're here. So I got to give it to the Steelers. They had a way better week one. Zach?
Steelers. I don't know if Najee's going to be playing this game. He's questionable right now, but his foot injury is not bad. Now, T.J. Watt is a huge loss on the defensive end. I believe he's going to be coming back week 6. They still have Mika. They still have a lot of nice pieces on that Steelers defense. If they can just keep scoring offensively against them, their defense will hold up, most likely, and just able to stop the Patriots' offense because it's very one-dimensional this year. So I'm going to give it to the Steelers.
All right. Next matchup is going to be, oh my goodness. It is Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one is always a weird one for the Colts. Since this is the South, what's your take, Josh?
Because Colts tied last week against a team that they should have beaten and were losing until the fourth quarter when the Texans got gassed. I think that the Jaguars are going to win the game against the Commanders, but the Jags just seem to have the Colts number no matter who they put as the starting quarterback. So I think that the Colts will finish week 1 0-1-1. Zach, what's your take?
Be week 2? Okay. Yeah,
I
got
week 2, whatever.
Oh, with the Jags, they always do consistent here, and At their home, I feel like they play a lot better against the Colts. Well, I don't feel it. Statistically, they play a lot better against the Colts. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Jags. What about you, Jack?
As much as I want to take the Colts because it makes sense, they feel like the better team, I have to give it to the Jags. I mean, this is a consistent problem. Even in the worst team in the league, Jacksonville year, where they went 1-15 or whatever, the only win was here at Jacksonville against these Indianapolis Colts. Ultimately, Indy's a slow team. They have slow starts for years. They'll pick it up eventually, but for now, I do have some concerns with Indy for the time being. While Darius Leonard or Shaquille Leonard is practicing again, we'll see if he plays or not. DeForest Buckner also appeared on the injury report, so they're questionable to play. So we'll see if they make it. Either way, they'll come in a little banged up. And Jacksonville, they've kept it decently close with Washington. And while they'll have them mistakes because they're a young team, I think they can beat the Colts here just because of the weird issue the Colts have with going into Jacksonville.
All right, our next. Oh shoot, my bad.
All right, the next matchup is Jets going into the Browns. So that'd be me. Okay, this one is fun, but I think for now I have to go with the Cleveland Browns. Well, the New York Jets had a weird game against Baltimore where they didn't hold up for the second half. Their defense kept it competitive for the first half. They couldn't close it out in the second half. No thanks to the offense. The Browns got the W in Carolina, so I have to pick them here. I can't trust the Jets offense with Joe Flacco continuing to play. You can just see that he doesn't move enough, and with Myles Garrett being on the other side, I think this pass rush is going to get to the Jets O-line because Justin Houston was cooking it last week, so I think that Myles Garrett could very well continue the trend. And with Joe Flacco's lack of mobility, it's going to be very hard for the Jets to take care of that factor of the game. Other issue is, while the Jets did have a really good game containing Lamar to only 17 rushing yards, I don't know if that run defense is going to stay consistent. I think the Jets are going to balance back up and being better against the pass this week. The Browns are going to run the ball a lot, and I think that eventually it's going to wear the Jets down if the offense isn't able to respond. So ultimately, I have to take Cleveland here. What about you, Zach?
Oh, I have to go Browns. The Jets didn't have that good of a showing against the Ravens. I believe their running attack really killed them. Not in the air. Lamar's not as good of a passer. He's better than Kobe Brissett, but I feel like the Jets will have a little bit of a difficult time. I could see a win if the offense can start cooking with Flacco, but they don't have the right tackle because Mekhi Becton and Dwayne Brown are not playing. It's going to be Myles Garrett just eating that side, where the right side, so it's going to be a little bit of difficulty, and Joe Flacco's not mobile. I think that you could see a decent game from Breece Hall, or even I think Sauce will have a great game because Jacoby Brissett is not as good of a passer as Lamar is. So I think Sauce will have a good game. Individuals have good games, but I don't think the Jets will win. Josh?
I got to go with the Browns, too. I think Jacoby Brissett has really done well with what he's been given, and the defense has really stepped up. But, yeah, the Jets, this isn't their year. They've had a lot of bad luck come their way for a really promising young team. So I think the Browns will win again. So, yeah, give me the Browns here.
All right. Next game is going to be Miami at Baltimore. Since Miami is East, I guess I get this one. This one's close, but I think I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens, I'll say. The Ravens, they didn't look great the first half against the Jets, but they sort of figured it out by the second half. They were able to get a bunch of big chunk plays to Bateman. Devin Duvernay a couple times. He looks to be better than we expected, at least as an outside receiver. We know he's a great returner. And while Miami did win 20-7, offense was stagnant. O-line was a little sketchy against New England, who has a very sketchy D-line outside of Mac Judon. So I think I have to give the edge to Baltimore in their home opener here. I think Lamar and Mark Andrews are going to get way more involved with the Dolphins having that elite secondary of Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, and Javon Holland. So I think that the Ravens are going to be able to win, and they're going to run the ball this week. It's more than they did last week. But it's close, but Ravens will get the job done here. What about you, Josh?
Well, I'm going to have to go with the Dolphins here. This is really just two blowouts going against each other. And unfortunately, one of the teams does have to lose. But I think that the Dolphins will be the team to beat in the AFC East, well, besides the Bills. but the Dolphins will be a really competitive team. So give me the Dolphins here. Zach?
I have Dolphins also. The speed of their corners might not match up well with the the speed of their wide receivers for the Dolphins might not match up with the speed on their corners, the Ravens corners. So having the Dolphins have a lot of speed on their wide receivers helps a lot. And then the other way around, the only person that needs to get covered on that team is there's two people, Mark Andrews and Sean Bateman. We don't know about JK yet. We don't know if he's going to be playing or not. He's still questionable. But I would take the Dolphins over them because of the better defense. And offensively, the speed on that is crazy with Chase Edmonds also. It's a crazy team that's crazy good on offense. And I feel like they'll get a win here against the Ravens. Also because they did pretty well against them last year too. Yeah. Jack, you already said your take. Okay, cool.
So next game is Texans at Broncos. Okay, that's West versus South, but I guess I'll hand it off to Josh since this is his team.
Okay. Houston Texans versus Denver Broncos. I have to go with the hot take here. Give me the Houston Texans. If you guys did not watch the... I'll just sum it up. The Texans looked really good, but JT started to wear on their team, and they gave up a lot of points in the fourth quarter. But I believe that defense will hold up, and especially because of this Monday night disaster by the Broncos. I don't think that they're coming into Mile High with that confidence. The Texans just tied with a team that they were supposed to lose by multiple scores. So I think that the Texans will be going into Mile High and beating the Denver Broncos here. Going to hand this off to Jack.
This one I think is going to be competitive, but ultimately I have Denver Broncos having a bounce-back game. Houston definitely had the better showing week one, especially from the rookie head coaches. Though Lovey punted the game, Nathaniel Hackett sold the game completely, lost the game. Lovey just tied it. But ultimately I think the Broncos are going to have a bit of a bounce-back here. Houston did get worn down by JT. I think Javonte and Melvin Gordon could affect them in the run game. Houston should be able to keep it close, but ultimately I think this is the Broncos' chance to get back on track. And if they aren't able to, then we have some real big concerns with the Broncos losing back-to-back games, starting 0-2 in a brutal AFC West this season. I'll take Denver in a competitive game here. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I also have to take Denver. With it, Russell Wilson passed for 325 yards, a couple touchdowns. He had a really nice game. It wasn't Russ's fault why they lost that game. If Russ can just outscore the Texans, which I think they can, because the Texans don't have too many good defensive pieces that are been in the league for a long time. Russ has been in the league for now, 12 seasons, 13 seasons, some type of about. He knows how to run that offense. He knows how to deal with different types of players like Derek Stingley and stuff like that. I feel like having a game film on Derek Stingley and Jalen Petrie, their rookies, can help them a lot against them. The Broncos also have a really nice running game. And I feel like just Russell Wilson, and this is not a hot take at all, it's just a fact, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan. So they're going to have a lot more problems with his mobility. And defensively, I don't even want to get into defense because Davis Mills is going to probably have a really tough game. It's also at Mile High, so they're used to those conditions, while Houston is not. So all those reasons, I have the Broncos winning.
Alright, so next matchup is going to be Cardinals at Raiders. Zach, this is your team, so you can take us off.
Yeah, that was a bad game. That Chiefs game, I don't think that was like the peak of Cardinals. We were missing a lot of pieces. Justin Pugh is coming back. Dale Moore is coming back, most likely. A lot of different pieces. Byron Murphy won't have an illness this time. We're getting closer and closer to having an entire Cardinals team back. J.J. Watt might also be back. That's like a centerpiece on our defense. There's a lot of players that are most likely coming back against this Raiders team, which that was not the full force Cardinals. We know what the Cardinals look like if we're at full force. That was not our team. We only had Kyler Murray, we had AJ Green, James Conner, and Hollywood last game. Those four guys are not going to win us a game just offensively. Defensively, we had even worse time. Hamilton, I understand he's out until week 4. That makes sense. But the other corners, like Marco, should have never done like that, and it's a really bad situation. I have to go Cardinals here. I believe in them a lot more. I feel like Devontae will be a problem, but I feel like we can deal with other things like Josh Jacobs. What about you, Josh?
You know what? I gotta go with the Raiders here. I think that Chandler Jones will have Kyler Murray's number, and since he's getting open, I think Max Crosby will also be doing some damage, and that offense will be making a comeback. I think Derek Carr is going to have less interceptions, less fumbles, and just play more, I guess, consistent, and just be more calm with his presence. And I just think that this is going to be a close win, but a Raiders win here in a competitive AFC West battle. Jack?
This one's close. I'll give it to the Cards for now, mainly because I expect a lot of these players that are unhealthy to come back a little healthier. I saw they had a lengthy injury report last week. We don't know about J.J. Watt yet. If J.J. Watt can play, that's a big help. Rondale Moore is another one. Byron Murphy played, but he was sick or something the day of, so we don't know how much he was going to be able to play. They also get the new corner they got back. They traded for Trayvon Mullen. But ultimately, this is probably going to be super offensively oriented still. But I think the Cards will get the slight edge with them getting their health back. Both had disappointing week 1s, but ultimately I think Kyler's going to be clicking. The defense with hopefully gets J.J. Watt back is definitely going to be better. And ultimately, the Raiders' defense is not too great and pretty much everywhere except the pass rush. Luckily, the Cardinals' strength of the O-line is their tackles, so they'll be able to handle that as well. So ultimately, I think the Cardinals will be able to do enough to stop the Raiders' pass rush and get the win. Right. So our next game is Bengals-Cowboys. Okay, this is the East, so I guess it goes to me. Bengals-Cowboys, I'm going with the Bengals. I understand that Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions against Steelers, and that was really bad. There's no way around that. That was just not a good game for Joe Burrow, but they fought hard in it. They lost in overtime to a lot of weird kicking issues. It was just a really weird week 1 all around. But the main reason that the Bengals are going to be able to win is because they're going to be able to capitalize on the injuries to Dallas, mainly Dak Prescott. He's 1,000% not making it back for week 2, so you get to play unexperienced Cooper Rush against a pretty good Bengals defensive unit. I think they'll be able to get the job done, not to mention all the issues the Cowboys have on defense outside of maybe Micah Parsons and an okay core. I think the Bengals just have a better offensive group. Even without T. Higgins, I think they'll be able to get the job done pretty easily against the backup quarterback, so I have to take the Bengals here. What about you, Zach?
Bengals. They have a lot less injuries, especially to Dak Prescott. I believe he's going to be coming back at best week 6, I think. Yeah, this is not going to look good for Dallas. These are not going to be pretty weeks. I feel like Jamar will just torch Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs will get his little pick that he always gets every game. It's just going to be a normal Cowboys time, and Bengals are probably going to blow this team out of the water. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's my turn, right?
Yep.
Okay, so sorry about the AFC West. I didn't mean that both the teams were in the AFC West. I meant that they would have another win in a competitive AFC West battle. I know that the Cardinals are in the NFC West. Okay, this game, Bengals. I think the last game, Joe Burrow had a bad game. We're not going to say he didn't. He had a bad game. And I think that this will be his bounce back, and Evan McPherson will actually kick and get his kicks to go in, because last time in overtime it was a bad hold. The holder should have laid down the ball, and they should have just redid it on 4th down. So I'm not blaming McPherson there, but I think that this game will be the Bengals' game to win and come back into Super Bowl form.
All right. That leaves us with our next matchup. We're getting in the NFC now. We have a Bucs-Saints matchup. Josh, you are the South, so you will get this one. What are your thoughts?
Okay, we are going to have another grudge match between Jameis Winston and Tom Brady. I got to go with the New Orleans Saints here. the Bucks have never been able to beat the Saints with Tom Brady. They've always been their kryptonite in the regular season. So, give me the New Orleans Saints again. Zach?
Yeah, Saints. They've been having a good winning streak, and it's just been against the Bucks, and I feel like they'll just keep it consistent. They had a little bit of a scare with the Falcons, and I'm still a little concerned about that game. But, I feel like they'll be fine. So, and their D-line presence is so much better with Marcus Davenport and Cameron Jordan. Having no center there is for the Buccaneers kind of showed in the Dallas game. Not too much, but still, it's concerning. So, Saints. Jack.
The Bucks feel like the better team on paper, Tom Brady, but ultimately the Saints, no matter what happens, get this done the last couple years. Tom Brady cannot handle the New Orleans Saints. I have to pick them. The Saints and Bucks both got wins. The Bucks win was like 18-3 or something, but Dak Prescott got hurt. Cowboys offense couldn't move the ball. There were all sorts of stuff going on that they were able to take advantage of that I don't think is going to happen in the Saints. The Saints should be able to get this job done. The Bucks O-line is banged up once again. I believe their left tackle has had an injury. I think he could play, but ultimately he's going to be banged up if he does play. So that's going to play a part, and the Saints just ultimately will get this done. The Bucks-Saints matchups have been horrible for the Bucks the last couple years, at least in the regular season. The only time they were able to get the top the Saints was the playoff game. So ultimately, I have to give it to the Saints here. They're going to continue this very strange trend in the Bucks-Saints rivalry. Right. Our next game is the Carolina Panthers going to the New York Giants. This is the East, so I'll take this one. I think I'll go with Carolina for a bounce back. I liked what the Giants did last week. They did a good job. They completely stopped King Henry in his tracks, which was a big accomplishment. But ultimately, I think they got a little lucky on the game-winning field goal. The Panthers felt like they had a pretty good offense going for a little bit. Took them a while to figure it out, but when they did, they were moving the ball a little bit. CMC wasn't as involved as I originally thought he was going to be, but they still did an okay job. It also looks like there's a chance Robbie Anderson may be back, though he was good week 1 last year too. He could always disappear, like he tends to do at this point. But ultimately, I'm going to give it to the Panthers. I think they're going to get their first win under the Baker Mayfield era in the MetLife opener for the Giants. What about you, Zach?
I gotta go Giants here. Giants they looked pretty solid. In preseason, I know that we should take that into account. They looked pretty nice in preseason, and also in that Titans game, they did stop King Henry. That didn't help fantasy at all for me. But I think the Giants could totally, if they could stop Derrick Henry, they could totally stop CMC. So, that logic, I think the Giants will win. It'll be a very close game, I think, and yeah, Giants go on top of this one. Josh?
I think it's going to be Giants all the way here because I think that the Panthers will put up a good fight against the Giants. But what the Giants have shown so far with beating one of the dark horse Super Bowl contenders of this year, and yes, the Titans are a dark horse, in the Tennessee Titans, it really just cemented them as like, they're here. They are doing stuff. Dable is or at least somewhat of a competent head coach. He's one of the only head coaches to get a win in week 1. So, yeah. Give me the New York Giants here.
All right. Our next matchup is going to be Washington at Detroit. So that's East and North. So I'll open up this one. I'm going with Detroit. Well, Detroit came out with the L against Philadelphia, one of the best rosters in the league. I think they fought hard. They put up 35 points. The run game was phenomenal for them. Jamal Williams got the goal line touches, 2 touchdowns. Swift had 100-plus all-purpose yards. They did a good job moving the ball, and I was really impressed with what I saw. I think this is a game that's very winnable for them. Washington looked good. I think they're definitely going to be in this game. They're going to be competitive, but ultimately I think Detroit's just going to outlast them here, and they're going to get the dub. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I also have to go Lions. Lions have been looking pretty nice. They, especially being able to be motivated to play. Because Dan Campbell is a very good motivator. I feel like the Lions will get a very nice win. DeAndre Swift was really working. Amon-Ra St. Brown was working. And that's against a good Eagles secondary. Eagles have at least 2 top 10 corners, maybe even Darius Slay a top 5 corner in the league right now. Goff was able to not dot up them, but at least hit Amon-Ra St. Brown more often. Now you're going against a weaker secondary, and in my opinion, a weaker run defense than what the Eagles had. So they're going to be able to run the rock a lot more with DeAndre Swift. And I like to mention this because he had a really nice game against Devontae Smith, and that guy is Jeff Okudah. This guy was really good. 4 targets for Devontae Smith, 0 yards. That's pretty impressive from Jeff Okudah, and I hope he can keep it up against should be Curtis Samuel this week, or maybe even Terry McLaurin. I want to see him do it again. He looks really impressive, and I'm really happy for him. How about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Lions here. Of course, their game was a 2-score game until the end, where it made it look like a 3-point game. But Dan Campbell's players will run through a wall for him. I think that this game is going to be the game where the Lions finally show off all that Hard Knocks hype that they have had. The Eagles were a hard challenge. Nobody is going to say that they weren't. But I think here, with the Commanders, they're going to get their first win of the season. Jack?
All right. So our next matchup is going to be Falcons at Rams, the South and West. So I guess for now, I'll give it to Zach. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I have to go the Rams. It's kind of obvious. The Falcons played a great game against the Saints, but it wasn't good enough to beat them. I feel like the Rams are going to want revenge for the Bills game. That was an embarrassment. And there's nothing that the Falcons can really do offensively to stop the Rams or to even gain yards from the Rams. The Rams did look bad, but Jalen Ramsey's going to be able to cover any sorry corner that they or sorry receiver that they have.
Wait. Oh.
Yeah.
So Falcons, Rams. I'll also go Rams here. Week 1 was bad for them. It was not good. But they had 10 days to prepare for this matchup against the Falcons. And the Falcons, they choked. Business as usual, I guess, at this point. And they had a lot of trouble covering wide receivers, mainly Michael Thomas. And Cooper Kupp is going to be all over the place probably again. Corners could hold up a little better, but still, I don't think they're going to be able to stop Cooper Kupp ultimately. The Falcons just don't have the kind of personality to do that. Not to mention their offense outside of like Kyle Pitts and maybe Drake London isn't going to be able to do much, even against a weaker Rams defense compared to last year. I think they're going to struggle. Jalen Ramsey just needs to play an average game to take care of the Falcons' number 1 receiver. I got to give it to the Rams here. They need this bounce back bad, and they have 10 days to prepare for it. They need this win, so they're going to get it. What about you, Josh?
Well, I got to go with the Rams here. I think that the Falcons will be the Rams' punching bag here, who the Rams are just going to test out some stuff on. Well, they did have a good battle against the Saints. I don't think that really showed what they're going to be doing through the season. So I got to go with the Rams here. They are looking for revenge.
All right. So next matchup is Seahawks at 49ers. This is the West, so I'll hand it off to you, Zach.
All right, with Seahawks Niners, I'm going to go with a hot take here and say Seahawks. The Seahawks played a really nice game against the Broncos. They should have lost it, but they looked really nice. Their defense actually held up against Russell Wilson, which was surprising. And Trey Lance is not as good as Russell Wilson. That team is not even as good, in my opinion, as that Broncos team that they just faced. I think the Seahawks will get a win here and really shock Niners fans in seeing how good Trey Lance is. This will be a true test on how good he is. What about you, Jack?
I think I'm going to go Niners. This one's close because Seahawks got a big upset win because Nathaniel Hatchett forgot how to coach. And then the Niners, they kind of got, I don't want to say blown out because it was pretty competitive, but they got beat in a monsoon, and Trey Lance was not able to do much. I'm going to bet on Trey Lance having a little more comfort in the home field advantage here in Santa Clara, California. I expect them to do a little more. Elijah Mitchell's going to be out, so I expect the Jeff Wilson show, see if they can take advantage of the Seahawks run defense. but the Seahawks held up. They're probably going to be competitive in this game. Expect an ugly one, maybe a Debo rushing touchdown that looks like it took 1,000% effort to get. Will be the separator here, but ultimately, I'll bet on the Niners bounce back here. I don't expect a great game from Trey Lance because Pete Carroll, while his defense personnel is weaker than in years past, he's still an experienced head coach. I think he could figure out how to rattle pretty much a quarterback playing his first career season. 49ers will get it done, but it will be ugly and it will be very competitive. What about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Seahawks here. I think that they're showing in Week 1 against the Denver Broncos. I mean, besides Nathaniel Hackett just completely forgetting how to be a head coach and everyone saying that he should have called a timeout at some point in those 60 seconds before he decided to kick a 65-yarder. I think that the Seahawks are winning this game because Lance did not look good against the Bears. But I get it. It's a monsoon that was happening in Chicago, but that's still I don't think that's as much of an excuse as people are making it out to be. And with a quarterback like Justin Fields, it should have been a Niners win. So I gotta go with the Seahawks here.
Okay, so next matchup is going to be Bears at Packers. For some reason, this is Sunday Night Football. This is the North matchup. So I guess I'll give it to Josh. What are your thoughts on this strange Sunday Night Football game?
I think that it's going to be the Packers here. I think the Packers, as much as I don't believe in those young receivers like Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, and Aaron Rodgers just going to keep on getting frustrated, the Bears in better conditions than a monsoon, I don't think will be as good as what we saw them as previously. So give me the Packers here. Jack?
I'm also going Packers here. Packers did not have a great showing Week 1, and I'm not going to say that the receivers, even if Alan Lazard comes back, is going to make a big difference. But I do think that the Bears' run defense last week was not great because until it really started raining and ball security became a question, they let up a Debo Samuel rushing touchdown. And this Packers, they just need to lean on the running game pretty much. They have A.J. Dillon, they have Aaron Jones. They just need to basically spam running plays at this point. They could probably beat the Bears' corners potentially, but overall, I wouldn't trust those receivers. Put it in the hands of your running backs. That is the strength of the offense at this point. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to use the running backs to run their offense through, and they're going to get the win, getting back to 500. What about you, Zach?
I agree with you completely about using the running backs. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones will probably have one great game. Now, if the Bears win here, they'll really prove themselves. But I don't think that's going to happen because Packers have such a good team, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be so mad about that freaking Vikings loss. He's going to take it all out on the Bears. He usually does that when he loses. So I feel like the Packers will own the Bears this time. Maybe the Bears will give them a couple of years. All right.
So we got Monday Night Football doubleheader next. Well, first we'll start out with the NFC side. Minnesota Vikings going to Philly. Since this is the East and North, I will take this one. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the Vikings. While both of these teams came up big in Week 1 with wins, I think the Eagles' run defense was a little sketchy. They let up a lot of yardage to Swift and Jamal Williams. Credit to the Lions for being able to run their offense, the rushing attack, pretty well. But ultimately, this is two really good teams because the Vikings' pass defense, they played against Aaron Rodgers, so not get it twisted that they are like some insane unit. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith will be able to take advantage of them, but ultimately, I'll give the edge to another monster, Jay Jetta and Dalvin Cook game. Vikings will get the win on the road here to beat Philly. What about you, Josh?
This is hard because I think I gotta go with the Eagles here. Kirk Cousins cannot perform in prime time, especially his Monday Night Football record right now, where he has more losses than he does wins on this thing. I think the Eagles will have the Vikings number. As much as I think that it will probably be the best Monday Night Football game of this week, I think that it's going to be the Eagles coming out on top. Zach?
I gotta go Vikings. Their core is so nice with Dalvin Cook and Jay Jetta. I'm not even mentioning the other receivers like Adam Thielen. What's the other guy? Never mind.
KJ Osborne?
Yeah, he has some speed to him. I feel like those people will literally just carry Russell Wilson, or not Russell Wilson. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kirk Cousins this win. Because they have such a nice running attack, and I said that the Eagles had a nice running defense, but they did allow DeAndre Swift to get 100 yards, and we all can agree that Dalvin Cook is better than DeAndre Swift. So I believe that Dalvin Cook will have a great game. Jay Jetto will probably drop a 30 bomb in fantasy. I think that this is going to be a really nice game for the Vikings. So I'm going to say the Vikings win.
Right, our last Monday Night Football game is an interesting choice as the second of the Monday Night Football doubleheader. Since I got the last one, the last two, I'll give it this one off to Josh. Titans, Bills, what's your take?
Okay, so my take for this one is that the Buffalo Bills will be winning. The Tennessee Titans struggled against the New York Giants, who they probably aren't supposed to do, especially because of their place in the AFC South, either being second or first this year. It's really a toss-up. Not anymore. But I don't see them winning. And Bills are the Super Bowl favorites, and they just beat the Super Bowl champions. So I don't see any place. I could see where the Titans could win if Derrick Henry goes back to form. But even then, that's really tough, especially with this new Bills team. I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
I also have to go Bills here. Because the Bills, they looked dominant. They absolutely destroyed the Rams on Thursday night. And then they get 10 days. Actually, no, they get 11 because this is a Monday night game. They get 11 days to sit here and game plan against the Titans. King Henry was not looking super great against the Giants defense, who, well, they have some decent players on the D-line, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams. It doesn't compare to the depth and ability of the Bills' D-line and pass rushers overall. The Bills' defense is significantly better than the Giants' defense. And the Titans they didn't look sharp so far. So I don't expect much out of them here on Monday Night Football. The Bills should be able to take care of business here relatively easily, especially with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs probably having monster games again. What about you, Zach?
Kind of obvious. Bills, they destroyed the Super Bowl chance, and I feel like they're just going to keep going on not this revenge tour, because that was last season about the, I believe, conference championship. But they are kind of a revenge tour by losing to the Chiefs in the divisional round. I think the Bills will just keep going on this reign of terror until some team like the Chiefs could stop them. It's going to be really hard to stop this team, but I feel like it can be done. So I'll go Bills. So that does it for our video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you enjoy watching us, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Leave a comment below on any hot takes you have. Like, say if you say, I don't know, the Texans will beat the Broncos, or I don't know. You can choose whatever take you want. Yeah. Then turn on post notifications. We usually post every Wednesday. Sometimes it gets inconsistent with scheduling, so I would recommend to turn post notifications on, and we'll see you next time after Jack hits the plug.
All right, don't forget, they're back here. Twitter, Instagram, Frontline FB. We could do some stuff on there. And we'll see you guys back here next week for more predictions. Stay tuned to the NFL. There's two really weird games this week. Jags, Colts, and then Saints, Bucks. So I expect more weird stuff to happen in week 2, much like week 1 went in a very unexpected fashion. So stay tuned with us. We'll keep predicting them and see if we can get better records next week. We'll see you guys then.